Hi, I'm Marion Landry, Technical Marketing Manager for 3ds Max Design and Showcase. And this is part one of the demo that is covering the Showcase 2012 for AEC users. And I'm going to show you how I recorded this part and a couple of tips and tricks for this particular part of the demo. Okay, so the first part of demo or what I call the part one of the demo is basically the section where I import the model using the import template. I'm walking around the model using the steering wheel. I use the quick start wizard to create a still image, and then I'm using the ray tracing to save that image into the disk. Quick start wizard is good to mention for new users, so they know that they're not on their own to learn Showcase, that there's a really great help to help them create whatever they want out of Showcase. Okay, so this is part one of the movie Showcase 2012 for AEC users, and I'm gonna just go in depth on what I've done here. Although this first part is quite simple, I'm importing the model, which is the step that I'm starting now, and I am using Showcase for AEC step 02 scene, which is the scene that has been adjusted to look a little bit more punchy and a little bit more beautiful. And then I'm going to navigate this scene using the steering wheel. I'm going to save an image using the quick start wizard. And then I'm going to use ray trace to do a ray tracing rendering. So let's have a look at what I've done here. So basically you have your model here. And this is kind of like pretending I have just import my model right now. So you see that it's coming with the default 3D view that was imported from the FBX model from Revit, and two animated shots that were created by default with the imports template. So we have that assumed. So now let's navigate using the steering wheel. So in this scene, I've already created the walk zone. So we've reviewed that in the video to get that scene ready. So that walkable zone is already set for you, and I'm going to call the steering wheel. So to get access to the steering wheel multiple way, I prefer using the shortcut, which is Shift W, and you'll notice that I have the mini steering wheel here. Now there's multiple access to get to the steering wheel, so I'm just going to close it, and the steering wheel basically lives in the navigation bar. So if I show the navigation bar, you'll see that this is where the steering wheel is. Now you have access to multiple way of the steering wheel. The standard is the full navigation steering wheel. I prefer the mini tour building wheel because it has all the tools that I prefer. Now this is up to you. Have an exploration of these different variations and select the one that is the best for you. So I'm going to use the mini tour steering wheel. So basically I can grab it from the toolbar, and you see now that I have it. Now I don't like having the toolbar open myself, so I'm just going to close it because I find that it gets real estate, and if I want to select object down here, I end up clicking on the toolbar, and that bugs me a little bit. So I'm going to keep the toolbar closed. Now I have my steering wheel, and I'm going to start walking around my scene. And as I am walking, if things are a little bit too slow, I can speed up I can speed up the walking movements by pressing plus on my keyboard, or slow it down by pressing minus on my keyboard. Now the other thing is, you notice that as I start walking, my viewpoint kind of went lower. So I'm just gonna use the up and down and raise this view a little bit. So now I'm kind of like human heights almost. And now I'm gonna just walk around. So I'm gonna walk to this door here. So I'm getting it really slow right now, so I have a good exploration. Now I could have opened the door obviously, but I did not because they're objects that are together in Revit, so it was difficult for me to separate them, but you can go ahead and do that. So now that I have walked through my lobby, I can kind of just look around. This is kind of for me the easiest way to do. I kind of move to a space and then I start looking around. Now as I am looking around and I get some of the views that I like, I'm just going to go a little bit higher, and I'm going to move back out a little bit. Now I really like this view, and I want to come back to this view later on. Really easy to do. And I'm going to press Control 1, and that's going to save me a still shot. You see there's an additional shot here that has been saved, and I'll be able to retrieve this shot later on. So I'm going to explore my building a little bit more by using the look. So I'm going to look and turn around, grab maybe another shot somewhere else.
I like this. You'll get used to the steering wheel. You see, for me, it's still a little bit kind of rough. I'm not the expert steering wheel user, as you can tell, but as you are using it, you'll become more comfortable with the steering wheel and the options that you have. Go up a little bit. Okay, now I like this view. I'm gonna press Control 2 this time, because by pressing Control and a certain number, what you basically do is that you're saving an additional shot according to the number. So I'm gonna go Control 2, and now it's saved this shot. Now you see in the corner there's a number here. So if I press 1 on my keyboard, that's the shortcut to get back to this shot, this additional shot that I've saved. If I press 2, I go back to this additional shot that I saved. So really useful to save still images while you're walking around. If you like a particular view, this is something that you're going to end up using quite a bit. Just as a small information here, every time you press on a shot, you see that it goes dark, and then it fades, it kind of fades to black, and then it gives you the image. Now you can change the property of these shots by right-clicking and asking for the property menu. You can save the title, you can change the transition. So right now set fade from black into shot. You can go cut to shot. So that's gonna just cut it directly to the shot. So you see now if I press on it, it's no longer fading. And you can reset the position, and you can reset the duration of this shot. So later on, when you include it in the storyboard slide, if you include this specific shot, it's gonna pause for 5 seconds and then move on to whatever next you have in the storyboard. But you can change the duration of this slide if you want. You can also adjust, turn it into, instead of a still, be a cinematic, or start to end. So you can adjust these shots the way you want. For example, if I'm gonna call the steering wheel again by pressing Shift W, and maybe look and change the angle slightly. Maybe I'm gonna look this way instead. I could just reset the position, and now this is my shot. So this is how you adjust these shots if you want. Now this one is still fading to black. If I call for the property and I go animate, cut to shot, then I go close, you'll see that it's no longer fading to black. It's basically just cutting to the shot. So you can change and alter all of these default shots that you have. We're going to look into how we created these animated shots later on in the demo, so I'm not going to just adjust them right now, but you can adjust the properties of these shots. They are being created by default with certain properties, but you can always adjust them. So obviously I can navigate in my building. This is kind of how it goes. You know, I can walk around and go through the corridor and all of that stuff. So pretty straightforward. I'm going to go back outside, and I'm going to go back to my exterior shot. So you see I am back where I started it, and basically the step that I did after exploring my building and saving additional images, I went on and opened the quick start wizard to show that if you're new to Showcase, you basically can do everything using the quick start wizard. With Quick Start Wizard, you can basically have help on how to learn all the features of Showcase, for example, walk through or saving specific images using the shortcut like I showed earlier. So basically, it's an help tool to help you learn about the workflow of Showcase as well as the feature of Showcase. And basically what I did is I start saving an image or preparing to save an image using the Quick Start Wizard. You can pick a still image, or you can use the current view. So I'm just going to use this particular view here, and I'm going to move to next. Now I'm going to open the visual style so we can talk a little bit about the visual style. We've reviewed the fact that you can display the model without shadow, with ambient shadow only, or with only shadows and stuff. So this is different ways to display your model. You can also use the abstract style, the non-photorealistic styles, that gives you nice results for certain purposes. It takes a little bit of time depending on the model to load these views. The one that I really like is the realistic with edge. So you have line work as well as nice textures and shadows and everything. So explore these different views. And what I did after is I move on to ray tracing. Now don't press ray tracing if you don't know what you're doing, because it does take a little bit of time. I'm going to press it right now, and you'll see that it takes a little bit of time to load. So it's going to enable ray tracing. So for live demo, you might want to set your scene properly. Something to know about ray tracing is that Showcase material are going to give you better results and are going to render faster. And Pro Material, you might get, you know, some darker action and this and that. It also depends on your computer and all of that stuff. So this is just the setup that is by default right now rendering with ray tracing. And I'm going to go in detail into ray tracing so you understand some of these settings and how you can implement it to have a nice quality image. Okay, let's talk about ray tracing a little bit. This is the result that I get at the default settings. So I haven't adjusted anything yet. This is what comes as default in Showcase. And you see that it rendered 28 seconds. The quality is okay, but the main problem is that my transparency here is not accurate. I cannot see inside my building, and that for me is a problem. I don't have enough quality here. The graininess is one thing, but the transparency is the major problem that I have for now. So I'm going to fix that and show you some of the setting ray tracing. So I'm going to just load the settings right now. Obviously, as you increase the setting, the length of time will be slower. So this is kind of like, you know, you want to have a better quality, but you don't want to have a render that takes too much time. You're going to have to decide in between quality versus time here. And every time when you open the window first, it's like it shows like this. And I'm going to just open the preset property, and I'm going to the advanced preset property, and I'm going to start changing this preset. Now, as I am changing these preset, it's going to recalculate automatically. So you see, I'm changing to the maximum limit. So this, to get the accurate transparency here, it's the maximum limit that is going to give me the accuracy. So right now, it's only going through one level of transparency. So I want to increase the level of transparency in order to get through the second side of glass, because I have multiple glass one after the other here. So I'm going to increase it, and as it's increasing it, it's going to render, and suddenly I'm starting to see. So this is good, the fact that it's re-rendering as I am adjusting the preset, but it might become a little bit heavy if you want for other presets. I'm going to leave it to calculating as I am changing the preset to adjust the maximum limit of transparency so I can see the result. See, I still have a little bit of problem in the back here where I don't see the transparency and I don't see the environment in the back. So I'm going to increase the level a little bit more, maybe to 6, and see if I'm getting better result. A little bit more. 7 maybe would give me. I'm starting to see the environment in the back of my glass. So now my maximum limit is set as an accurate level. So now if I don't want to have the calculation of ray tracing being readjusted as I am increasing these number, what you can do is basically, and see, like it hasn't even increased the amount of time that I'm rendering. So that's a good setting to do. So if you don't want to have the adjustment as you are adjusting this panel, you can close this, go back to both shadow and ambient shadow. So I'm going to get out of ray tracing basically. And what I'm going to do, so see the visual effect is quite different. I'm going to call the ray tracing control panel. So now it's calling the ray tracing control panel. If I click on setting here and I start changing these, it's not calculating as I am changing it. So sometimes it's good to have the option. So I know that about 20% accuracy level and 30% here and 30% here, and I'm going to turn on global illumination and make it 30%. I know that I am getting pretty nice result, and I'm going to increase it to 1.4. So this is the preset that I'm using kind of by default when I'm doing ray tracing. And now I'm going to click on ray tracing, and then it's going to calculate for me with the new settings that I have. So this is a preference if you want to have the improvement of the ray tracing as you are changing the preset, because you're not familiar with ray tracing and you want to see where these accuracy level and shadow and illumination are being affected. This is one thing you can do. Or you can adjust a preset, then press ray tracing, and it's going to calculate all at once. So now that I have improved the preset, you'll notice that my time is a little bit slower. So it's going to take about a minute. Obviously, it depends on your computer, but it's going to give me a nice quality enough for the purpose of my live demo. Okay, so this is the result that I get after minute 42, and you'll notice that the settings are kind of still really low. but give me nice result enough. Obviously, if you want to save a final image, you might want to crank up these settings and save the preset for future use. This is totally up to you. There's some exploration to be done, and it really depends on your project as well. So I'm just going to leave it to this. It's a minute 42, might be a bit too long for your live presentation. So something to talk about, maybe have an image ready that is already pre-rendered. So basically, I'm continue on now to step 3 of my quick start wizard, as I am doing in the demo. Basically, what I can do here is select the output size. I'm going to use the current view and save an image. Now, what I have noticed is that if you save an image from here, I'm going to call this one quick start. If you save an image from here, for a reason or another, it doesn't give you the same quality as if you save it from the ray tracing status. So I'm not quite sure why, but I want you to be aware of this so you're not disappointing of the results. So you might want to tell people to save it there, but you might want to also tell them to save it from the ray tracing status. I'm not sure which one is best at this point. And as a comparison, I'm going to save an image from the ray tracing status bar, and I'm going to call this one ray tracing. And I'm going to show you the comparison. So this is what we have in the viewport. Now this is the image that was saved with the quick start wizard, not what I'm expecting. And this is the image that was saved with the ray tracing menu, exactly what I have in the viewport. So I'm not sure exactly why it's giving you this result, and I'm going to investigate. But for now, be aware that you're not going to get the result by saving with the quick start wizard, but you will get the exact same result if you're saving it from the ray tracing status bar. So something to keep in mind. Now this is, kind of like low setting, about 30% for everything. Good quality, but maybe not nice enough for presentation. Be aware that I have saved an image for you that's called ray trace image, and basically this image is using the highest quality ray tracing, and you can see that is a lot softer. It's not as grainy on the side. The transparency is quite nice inside. The shadow is quite soft and is not grainy. So you have an image already saved for you, and it's called ray traced image. It is a TIFF image, so you can use it for your live presentation. This one took about 35 minutes to render on my machine, so it takes a little bit more time, but it's something that is doable if you want to grab a different angle. Be aware as well that for interior scene, you might run into different problem for reflections and stuff like that. I haven't totally investigated rendering ray traced image for the interior scene, but so far the tests that I have done weren't that satisfying. So stick to the exterior for your live demo until you totally master the ray tracing and that you get really nice results for inside scene. So this scene is nicely set up for ray tracing, and basically for the first part of the demo presentation, I go back to both shaded view, shadow and ambient shadow if I don't want to continue on ray tracing all the time. So I go back in here. You see, if you start the ray tracing process, you can always click back you can hit D on the keyboard to go back to both shadow and ambient shadow, and that's going to stop the process of ray tracing, which is good to know. So basically, I kind of end the first parts of the demo here, and then I go on and say, but you can do a lot more, and that's going to be kind of part 2 where we're going to review everything else that we can do in Showcase. This end state is saved as Showcase Step 3. So this is the scene I'm going to open to start working on the next level.